Welcome back to Cure for the Common Game, where I am building a deck of every legendary creature that exists. Legal, that is. And this is deck number 315, Psy Master Thopterist. Now, I've been super excited about this guy, and I probably need... Well, okay. I needed to stop when I did, because I would have been working on this one for years and years, and it would have been expensive by the time I got done. But anyway, there's a bunch you can do with this deck, but you cast an artifact, you get a Thopter. And then you can sack 2 artifacts to draw a card. Now, yeah, the card draw thing is pretty neat, but I may only do that when, in fact, the Thopters are already going to die, because I built this as Thopter Madness. That's just what I built. Now, so, let's... yeah, a lot of this is going to be in no particular order. This is kind of rampish type stuff. Got our Wayfarer's Bauble. Now, Psy doesn't cost a lot anyway, so he's cheap, so we don't really need, per se, a whole bunch of ramp. So the object is to throw him down as quick as humanly possible, because a good chunk of the deck, Wayfarer's Bauble, Silver Mirror, Burnished Heart, all of this is just artifact sources of mana. I included the Sculptor as mana ramp, but for some reason I didn't include there he is. The Foundry Inspector is also ramp, so that's kind of neat. Star Compass, Armillary Sphere, I'm sure I pronounced that wrong, and Seer's Lantern. Now, so we're obviously playing heavy artifacts, so let's look at our creatures here. We've got... Do we have any non-artifact creatures? Yes, we have Veldocan Engineer, of course. He taps for 2 mana. Glintoness Crane's going to find us some. Chief Engineer blows my mind, because most of our creatures are artifacts, so Convoke, Improvise both, either one. I didn't really find a whole lot with Improvise that I cared about, but the Thopters, yeah. The Thopters can help you cast your artifacts, which is in turn going to make more Thopters, so it's beautiful. Now, Broodstar, just a big old flying fatty. I mean, that's all it really is. You're probably going to pay for 2 mana, and it's probably going to be, well, by that count, at least an 8/8. We have a Fairy Machinist, or Mechanist, sorry, it's no. Plague Mirror, because it kind of taps for mana, but, it's got that infect thing, so it's not like, Mirrored Forcer. Now, Sharding Sphinx I really like, because you get a Thopter every time one of your artifact crew... Every time a Thopter hits, you get another Thopter. Thopters just keep having Thopter babies, and Sphinxes have Thopters, and Jor's Familiar hits and has Thopters, and she makes things cheap. And let's talk about the Mirror Ball, because why not? Especially if you've got one of those only one creature can attack. Okay, here's my ball of mirror. Now, the Darksteel Jugs. Yeah, this seems pretty good. Number of artifacts you control has to attack. Frogmite is a free 2/2. Chief of the Foundry is, of course, going to make the Thopters more bigger. Yeah, I said that on purpose. Pilgrim's Eye. Phyrexian Revoker. Now, I've been itching to run Merchant's Dockhand since I pulled it in my pre-release pack from that set. And it's never really panned out that well. It never found its place in a deck, but this, I think, is really good. Now, granted, it's definitely going to be an end-of-turn thing, because the last thing you want to do is, I'm going to tap my board. But kind of as I said during the last video, my last Psychosis crawler, granted, now that I'm thinking about it, I may have should have saved it for that last deck because it's got a lot more card draw in it than this particular one does. Now, Watchful Automaton, using the mana to scry. Flayer Husk, I count it as a creature because, let's face it, it's going to come in with that germ, and it's going to be a 1/1. So, Signal Pest is, best friend of the Thopters. Memnite, it's a free 1/1 with a 1/1 flyer. So that's what makes that beautiful. Ornithopter, also free, also brings in another 1/1 Thopter with it. Esperzoa is going to get fuzzy, apparently. Esperzoa requires you to... Come on now. At the beginning of your upkeep, you bounce an artifact, so... And of course, like any deck with a ton of artifacts, we've got to have a scrap trawler. And Mishra Self-Replicator. Now, here again, I've been looking for the perfect deck to put this in. Now, this may not be it. I'm sure there's more higher power generals that you can... But, man, if you can get this going, it's... because everything you got's historic, And you pay 1 to make a copy, and then both of those will trigger the next time you play. So there's, yeah, it's assembly workers. They're going to keep up where I'm going to have to build a tribal assembly worker deck. So much is the life. Efficient construction just doubles what our general does. So this is living the dream here, dropping a welding jar and getting 2 Thopters out of it. Darksteel Pendant, also known as Poor Man's Top. Now, let's talk about Helm of the Host. Helm of the Host on Psi is going to make things interesting. Of course, you're going to just keep making more Psis and keep drawing or getting Thopters when you... But I'm sure maybe we can come up with something better to put the Helm of the Host on. Like a Tidespout Tyrant. Whenever you cast a spell, bounce a permanent. I put the Tidespout Tyrant in here because I felt like it needed a little bit of oomph, and it did have a when you cast thing going on. What can we do next here? I don't have a whole lot of counter magic. I have a counter spell. Memory Lapse, I explained yesterday why that was amazing. Negate, because Cyclonic Rift bothers me. If I had a Cyclonic Rift, it would totally be in here. Of course, y'all know how I feel. If your deck can produce a blue mana, you should probably run Cyclonic Rift if you've got it. But that card is so dominant that Cyclonic Rift and the Engine both scare me that they're going to get too dominant one day. Speaking of the Engine, that's why I've got Ceremonious Rejection. Now, Insidious Will, I really, really kind of like. Choose one of all the blue things you can do. Now, our board wipe is, of course, Larry Nevin's Disc. Brilliant plan for some card draw, as well as Thoughtcast and One with the Machine. Now, One with the Machine, y'all thought the same thing I did. As soon as you saw it, you thought, well, Darksteel Forge. And then you're looking at me right now going, well, how come you're not playing with Darksteel Forge? I would straight up be playing with Darksteel Forge if I had one. This Darksteel Forge, this deck needs it. Now, Genesis Chamber also kind of works. Now, granted, they're not Thopters, they're mirrors. But Yeah, works well with the mirror ball. I need to get me some mirror tokens out. All I've got are these old Thopter tokens out. Running Draftna's Restoration to get them back because, they are going to be shot down. Some of them are going to die. Paradoxical Outcome. It's kind of a decent anti-wrath, or it's if you just want to, I hate to use the word storm out, but if you've got a bunch of your zero drops. And there's another way I could have really to go on this was to the eggs route, like I kind of somewhat did with Jorah, but you're not refilling your hand with him. You're just getting Thopters and Flyers, and you've got to find a way to get through with those Flyers. So I chose opposition. You can tap down their Flyers and swinging's yours, or just tap down what's going to attack you. Either way. Now, I did run in Soul Artifact. Yeah, not the greatest card, but I had the Ornithopter out there, and I went, "Oh, let's run with scissors." There was a deck way back that was called Running with Scissors, and you played zero drops in this thing, and just on turn 2, you swung with 5/5s. Anyway, I don't know. If it happens, it happens. It's funny. It's cute. I like it. It'll probably get replaced. Impulse, of course, running a Loxodon Warhammer to try to get some oomph out of one of those guys. I'm running the Planeswalker deck Tezzeret because, his 3 abilities are not amazing, but in this particular deck, they're not horrible either. So, I mean, yes, 6 mana is a pretty big investment. Blinkmoth Urn is, of course, living the dream. We're going to... Now, Decoction Module. Man, it's hard for me to say that. Actually, what its name is. I tend to call it something else. But anyway. So whenever you get a Thopter, you're going to get an energy. And then this allows you to bounce target creature. Either yours or theirs. Well, obviously, we all know the value of bouncing our opponent's creatures, but let's think about just bouncing ours, So, we got this energy thing. And then, we got the Fabrication Module. So, whenever you get energy, you get a counter on one of your dudes. Probably the Thopter that just came in. And then you can tap this to get an energy. So we're going to amass some energy. So I was like, well, I really kind of like how those two interact, and I wanted a way to spend some energy, and I was like, I don't want to go real deep in it, but Gonti's Eats Her Heart. Sad you got to exile it, but, it's whatever. Now, Blasting Station is amazing. It's, of course, part of the Great Machine that they made in Fifth Dawn. There was those 4 stations that you put together, and it creates an infinite loop. But I like it. Sack a dude, deal a damage, and then it untaps whenever a dude comes in. And, of course, we have Crackland Ironworks to get that big mana boost, Now, this last card I want to talk about for a minute. Crown of the Ages. Crown of the Ages is one of those. It wasn't even printed a whole bunch. It was the Ice Age was the first card. I'm going to call it the rookie card because back in the 80s, I came from the baseball card world. So first printing is the rookie card. This is the Crown of Ages rookie card. That's why alpha cards are worth so much. Anyway. 2 to cast, 4 to use. You can move enchantments around. Now, yes, there's not a lot of enchantments in this particular deck to move. I get that. Because mainly we're talking about auras. It's going to bounce auras. And I really firmly believe that we're going to have more auras dominating our format because if we just look at history from these commander decks, we're looking at if you go to edhrec.com and look at the top generals, a lot of those are pre-con commanders. So this particular product line is very, very successful. And, 25% of the product that they're putting out in 2 weeks or a week and a half or whenever it is going to be enchantments. They really put the hammer down for auras. So anyway, I think it's neat. Is this the deck for this card? I don't know, maybe not. But it is definitely a card nobody sees coming. Anyway, that's what I've got. I do appreciate y'all watching. Hopefully, I'll get a chance to bash with some Thopters in the red zone. We're going to keep trucking on here. I think tomorrow, tomorrow we're back off of mono blue. I know it's weird. I had 2 mono blue decks back to back. But I think tomorrow we're going to go with deck number 316, a tricolor deck that is sure not to make any friends at all. Appreciate you watching. Y'all let me know what you think. But right now, it's time to shuffle and cut.